Okay, we're looking at the Weltkrieg, and this is the first 2 turns in August. Now remember, a turn isn't a single day, it's about 4 days for each turn, and you actually have 7 turns in each month. Okay, most activity is severely restricted at the start of the game because only mobilised units can move and fight. The only thing that's happened really is the German siege artillery, which was mobilised straight away, is moved outside Liège and it's conducted an artillery only bombardment. It's worth looking at the designer's video on that, because you don't want to be attacking fortresses with infantry. You're going to get an absolute bloodbath if you do. His actual video is brilliant on that. It shows what happens if you attack just with artillery and what happens if you include infantry. Okay, French cavalry has sort of mobilised into the Ardennes. A French infantry unit has mobilised and moved into Mulhouse, recaptured it from the Germans. There's been a little bit of a scrap in the Ardennes, where a German infantry and a cavalry division attacked a French cavalry division and destroyed it. So that cavalry division goes into the dead pool over there at the moment. In terms of supply expenditure, because there was 32 steps of siege guns firing at Liège, that means there was 16 supply consumed. That was taken from the 1st and 2nd Army. The other battle, we had infantry and cavalry. So the infantry, it's 1 supply point per 4, and there's an 8-step infantry unit, so that consumed 2 supply points, and we decided not to supply the cavalry, so they attacked with a strength of 1. Okay, they because they're attacking into a that's interesting. Yeah, I just noticed that I didn't do the terrain modifier for this little battle here correctly, because they actually move through a broken hex side terrain, which only gives them a -1. I had them as -2 for woods. Anyway, it doesn't affect the result because, well, it did. In fact, they lost 2 steps rather than 1 step, but it makes no difference anyway, because they would have been forced to retreat, and unit that's retreating would take a third of its reduces a third of its casualty steps. Well, since that's only that wouldn't have made any difference, so the 1-step cavalry is actually eliminated there. There was an advance after combat by both the German units. The French did do a defensive role, but considering there's only defenders that are forced to retreat, it's double its strength point, so that means it defends with a value of 2, but they threw a dice roll of 4, which got them a 0, so they weren't able to inflict any casualties on the Germans. Yeah, and the result of the loss of the cavalry means that France has suffered 2 demoralisation points because it lost 1 step of cavalry. And that gets recorded on the demoralisation track over here. Ooh. So we just move the French one along to position 2. I'll do that in a second. Right, there's been no activity on the Eastern Front because nothing happens till 3rd turn of August there. So that took a bit of time. I had to watch all the instructional videos from the game designer, and also reading the rules. Getting everything combined was a bit tricky because it isn't all in one place, unfortunately. It's okay if you play the campaign game. It does explain how to start everything, but the reason I haven't bothered with the campaign game is there's a huge amount of administration included in that, and I've actually played the campaign game all the way through to mid-1915 a few years back, and I don't really want to have all that overhead, to be quite honest. It's interesting, and people actually rate it, but for purposes of what I'm doing now, I've got enough to handle. just for me doing the fighting stuff and the reinforcements, etc., and replacements.